Once upon a time, in a small village nestled between lush green hills and ancient whispering woods, there existed a peculiar tradition, one that bound the community with a thread of unity, and yet, hidden beneath, carried a chilling undertow of darkness. Every year, on the morning of June 27th, the entire village gathered in the central square, where the grass was richly green from the early summer sun, and the flowers bloomed with the vibrant colors of the season. This gathering was not for a festival of joy, though the bright sunshine and cheerful chatter might make it seem so at first glance. No, this was the day of the lottery, a ritual that had been observed for as long as anyone could remember, its origins shrouded in the mists of time. The morning of the lottery was filled with a palpable electricity as every family from the village, young and old, made their way to the square. Children, free from school for the summer, ran about laughing and playing, their pockets filled with stones they gathered along the way. Their parents and grandparents conversed in hushed tones, smiles masking an undercurrent of nervous tension that they tried to dismiss. In the center of the square stood Mr. Summers, a round-faced, jovial man who had the time and inclination to oversee the village's civic activities. With him was a black wooden box, so old that no one even remembered when it had been built. Its sides were faded and worn from years of use. This box was the heart of the lottery, and as Mr. Summers stirred the papers inside it, a hush fell over the crowd. The ritual was precise and rehearsed. Mr. Summers would call each family's name, and the head of the household would come forward to draw a paper from the box. This year, as every year, Mr. Summers made an elaborate show of the process, chatting with each villager, trying to lighten the mood with jokes that sounded a bit forced. The villagers responded with strained laughter, their eyes flicking nervously to the box on the stool. As the lottery commenced, the sun climbed higher in the sky, casting short shadows on the ground and warming the back of the necks of the villagers. One by one, the heads of each household stepped up to the box, their hands either steady or trembling, and took a slip of paper. They were instructed to keep the paper folded in their hand and not look until everyone had had their turn. The atmosphere was thick with a mix of summer warmth and a growing sense of dread. The air seemed to still as the last name was called. Silence enveloped the square as each person stood with their piece of fate clenched in their hand. Then, as if on cue, Mr. Summers asked them to open their papers. A collective breath was held, then released in sighs, murmurs, and in one corner, a sharp cry of despair. It was Mrs. Hutchinson. She had drawn the paper with the black spot, her hands shaking as she held it out for the others to see. "It isn't fair," she said, her voice a mixture of anger and fear. "It isn't right." But the ritual was not yet complete. The initial drawing determined which household was chosen, and now each member of the Hutchinson family must draw again to see who among them would be the final choice. Tension wound tighter as the family, with pale faces and heavy hearts, each took a slip from the box. The crowd, which had been somber and quiet, now moved as one. The children, who had been collecting stones earlier, now came forward with their hands full. The stones began to fly. Tessie's cries echoed through the square, then dwindled until all that remained was a solemn silence of a rite completed. As the villagers slowly dispersed, leaving behind the evidence of their ancient, unyielding tradition, the sun continued to shine brightly, indifferent to the acts below. The day moved on, the routine of village life resumed, and the grass in the square bore no mark of the morning's grim activities. The rite was completed, and now they have ensured a good harvest. As the night closes in and the stars take up their watch, remember the power of questioning and the courage it takes to challenge what is accepted. Good night, listener. and may your dreams be free from the shadows of unexamined customs.